My name's Paul Flanagan. I was brought up in Chesterfield. I grew up in Hasland, so very local. My progression into my substance misuse issues wasn't built up overnight. Because I was an introvert, I was very quiet and withdrawn. It made myself a target to bullies and things like that. So from early years, I suffered from bullying. By the time I was sort of 12, I started smoking to want to fit in. By the age of 13, I picked up my first drink, and all them social anxieties went away. Here today we're filming in Tapton House. This is where it all started really for me, where my behaviours really started to come out. I started to rebel against the bullies and make an example. You know, I was suspended for being drunk in school under the influence of various drugs. I always hung around with the people that were older than me, and by the time I'd found them people, they were smoking cannabis. I was smoking cannabis day and night. It became the point where I now recognise the fact where I was physically present and mentally absent. And it was at that point, the mid-90s, where the rave scene really kicked off until the stimulants came. And so I'd spent the next few years going around the different rave scenes, just missing out on life because I was constantly obsessed with taking a substance to exist. I was trapped for so long in the same thinking process. I'll take this substance, but not the rest. And you know, I can no longer take them substances. I'll only take that substance and not the rest, until the only substance that was left that I'd not tried was the one I loved the most. The only thing that I found that worked was heroin. The only thing that took me away from everything was heroin. The only thing that made me feel the way I desired to be and feel was heroin. I always thought I was clever enough to control it. By the time I'd realised I'd got an issue with drugs and with substances, I'd got a problem with heroin because I could no longer avoid it. You know, I tried stopping myself and I couldn't manage it. I tried doing the home detox packs, and I was on methadone for the best part of 16 years, regularly using on top. It's not the magic pill to cure. It needs to be with guidance, with support. I got done for drink driving. They took my licence, driving while disqualified 7 weeks later. So I ended up yet back in court. I can remember going into court and just breaking down. And I think it was the first point I'd actually been honest and said, look, I've been fighting this and I can't do it on my own. I was no longer willing to put up with the consequences of my using because I was that broken inside. I didn't care what had to come. And I learned that it was a possibility of going into treatment, and so that's where I wanted to be. The treatment centre I picked, the Burton Addiction Centre, the 70% of the employees, right from the CEO downwards, are in recovery. I felt of value as soon as I walked through the door. It was a big inspiration to me. It's the mutual support of one addict helping another. Well, my benefits of going into a treatment centre was not only did I get to deal with my underlying issues, but because of my addiction, there's so many other life skills and social skills I was very much lacking that I needed the help, support and guidance in order to build up. If you're debating whether you've got an issue with drugs or alcohol, is to reach out to somebody in recovery. The mutual support groups out there where you can reach out to. You can speak to somebody in recovery and get their advice. I finished treatment from the residential and then went on to the semi-supported living. And to then get offered a part-time job. You know, in that time I went to college. I did maths and English, and you know, all the things that I started to enjoy that was robbed away from me I've then gone on to, live in my own flat, get my license back, and build up some sort of life where it's easier not to be using drugs. I enjoy the life I've got now without them. I now look at the short-term consequences for the long-term gains. I'm now looking to the future. I'm now building a future.